Hello, my beloved. Welcome to Good Purpose Ministries. This is Trent J. Francis here, and today we're going to be talking about the mark of the beast. Now, there is so much confusion on this topic, and this is a really hard topic to cover. I have so much notes here with me, but there is much speculation about what the mark of the beast really is. There's a lot of confusion about what the mark of the beast really is, but that's intentional. That's what the devil wants to stir up. He wants to be confusing. He wants to lead you a different way and have the truth pop out and leave you behind on the other eye, right? He wants you to be deceived. And many people think that the mark of the beast is a microchip, the RFID chip. Many people think it's a tattoo. Many people think that it's a literal mark, it's a physical mark, but the Bible reveals to us that it is a spiritual mark, all right? In the last days, there are going to be two kinds of people. There are going to be people with the seal of God, and there are going to be people with the mark of the beast. Now, before I start this video, I want to stress to you that I believe that I'm saved by grace. We are saved by grace through faith, okay? We are saved by grace completely. I'm not saying that we're saved by works or anything, but to understand this topic, you're going to hear a lot of stuff that is going to be confusing to you. You're going to be like, what is he saying here? Is he really saying we're saved by works? No, I'm not implying that whatsoever. But in the last days, there are going to be people who have the seal of God or the mark of the beast. Now, just like the devil, mark of the beast, he has his mark, God has his seal. So to begin, we need to go to the verse that is stirring up a lot of this confusion. So go with me now, and that is in the book of Revelation chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14 verses 9 through 10, it says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast in his image, and he receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb." Now what I want to point out to you here is a few key words in this verse. In this verse, it is mentioned here, if any man worship the beast in his image, he shall receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. All right, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. So, to receive the mark of the beast, you have to worship the beast in his image. Worship the beast in his image. Receiving the mark of the beast has to do with worship. And what I would like to point out to you is what is the only commandment that has to do with worship, and out of the 10 commandments of God, it has to do with the Sabbath. So this is implying here that there will be a false day of worship in the last days that many people will fall into, and by falling into that false day of worship, they will be accepting the mark of the beast. Now let's go to the very next verse, Revelation 13, 16 through 17. It says, "And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name." The next thing that I want to point out here is where it talks about to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now, what I want to add to you guys here is this. The book of Revelations is full of symbolism. It is a book of prophetic symbolism. There are many things in the Bible that, in the book of Revelation specifically, that is full of that is symbolizing. Okay, here in this verse where it says the right hand or the forehead, it is talking about their forehead, meaning their mind. It's not talking about the literal forehead, a physical mark on them, and their hand, meaning a literal mark on the hand. No, it's a spiritual sign. It's a spiritual mark that is on their forehead or their hand. Okay, hands meaning your actions, right? Your actions mean your hands. Your forehead means your mind, right? Means your mind. Like I said, with the 10 Commandments, remember I stressed that we are saved by grace. I'm not saying that we're saved by works. We're saved by grace. But in Hebrews 10:16 it says, "This is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws into their hearts, and in their minds will I write them." Now obviously you don't think that we're going to have a physical mark of the seal of God, of the 10 Commandments on our forehead. Obviously not. No. It is a spiritual mark. Now, what I want to touch on next is in the book of Revelation, chapter 7, verses 2 and 3. All right, this has to do with the seal of God. All right, like I said, in the end days, there will be people with the seal of God and the people with the mark of the beast. We just touched on the mark of the beast. Now we're going to be touching on the seal of God. Revelation chapter 7, verses 2 through 3. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads. So the servants of God receive a seal in their foreheads. It's not going to be a physical mark. It's going to be a spiritual mark. Okay? So now that we just discovered the verse mentioning the seal, let's discover what this seal is, okay? Now, the seal simply is consisted of three things. And to put it in easier terms for you guys to help you understand easily, the United States, we have a seal, right? The president, the seal is consisted of three things. The seal is consisted of this. It is consisted of the name, the title or claim of authority, or the region of worship. For example, like I said, we have a seal of the United States. For instance, Barack Obama, all right, is his name. President is his title or his claim of authority, and his region of worship is the United States of America. Now, the question is, what is the purpose of the seal? Okay, next verse we want to lead to is in the book of Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. It says here, Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth and the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Now, do you see the seal in this commandment? Of course you do. His name is the Lord. His title or authority is the Creator, and his area of worship is heaven and the earth. So you see the seal is in the fourth commandment. Alright, so next thing I want to touch on is in this next verse. Pay attention to what this verse says. This is very, very clear. Exodus chapter 31, verses 16 through 17. It says here, Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant, an ongoing thing. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, and the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. Remember, it says here, it is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. The Sabbath is a sign. Now, a sign and the seal are the same exact thing. Take a look at Romans chapter 4, verse 11. It says, And he received the sign of circumcision, a seal of righteousness of faith. So right here, my friends, a sign and a seal are the same exact things. Whenever it says sign, it's meaning seal. Whenever it says seal, it's meaning sign. It's the same exact thing. Okay? Isaiah chapter 8, verse 16. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. My beloved, I hope this picture is becoming more clear for you that the mark of the beast has to do with worship. Because if you remembered back in Revelation 14, as we touched on in the beginning of this video, that it had to do with worship. What I want to stress to you here is that the Sabbath, God's original Sabbath, Friday sunset through Saturday sunset, that is God's true Sabbath. And it's, as we discussed here, in Revelation chapter 14, verse 11, it says, Here's the patience of the saints. 14:12. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are they who keep the commandments of God in the faith of Jesus. Not faith in Jesus, the faith of Jesus. Here are the patience of the saints. Here are they who keep the commandments of God. In the last days, you're considered a saint if you keep the commandments of God. You receive God's seal if you keep the commandments of God. All right? The fourth commandment, the only commandment that says remember, is the one that is forgotten. And like we discovered, the mark of the beast will be given to those who worship the beast in his image. Worship has to do with the day you worship on. Today, millions of people are worshiping the false Sabbath. They're worshiping on Sunday instead of worshiping on God's Sabbath. Remember what he said in the book of Exodus. He said it'll be a sign between me and them, a perpetual covenant, one that should not be broken. It is something that should be carried on. You are God's people if you have the seal of God. The 10 Commandments are the seal of God, my beloved. If you keep the 10 Commandments, you are a child of God. You have the patience of the saints. You have the right to enter into the gates of the city, into the tree of life. Do not be deceived by this false deception, because that is exactly what Satan wants you to do. What I want you to do next is take a look with me in the book of Daniel chapter 7 verse 25. Daniel 7:25 says, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and to change time and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and dividing of time." This verse right here, my friends, is talking about the end of days. Because how can we know this? Well, it says he shall attempt to change times and laws. What is the only commandment that is a time and a law? My beloved, that has to do with the fourth commandment. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And what shocks me the most is that it says remember. He put remember in front of the fourth commandment because he knew that the whole world would forget. He knew that everybody, most of the world, would be deceived by Satan into thinking that the mark of the beast has to do with a microchip, has to do with some RFID chip. I'm not denying that some RFID chip won't be implemented in the last days as a sign of control at the end of times. I'm not denying that whatsoever, but if you receive the mark of the beast, it is because you are worshiping on the false day of worship, my beloved. You are worshiping the beast in his image, and that has to do with Sunday worship. And I hope this video made it very clear. There's a lot more to touch on in this. There's so much to touch on, and I'm trying to do this in a short video because it will take hours to do and touch on this kind of material. Remember what it says. John 14:15, he says, "If you love me, keep my commandments." The Lord wants you to keep his commandments. He wants you to keep his commandments because that is a sign of obedience. The greatest form of love you can show towards the Creator is to be obedient. Okay? And don't forget in the book of 1 John where it says, "By this we know that we are the children of God and that we love God if we keep his commandments." Friends, you can't be deceived by this last day movement because the devil wants you to think that has to do with my microchip. That is a microchip. He doesn't want you to know that has to do with worship. Alright? He's returning soon, my beloved. If you aren't keeping the Sabbath, God's Friday sunset through Saturday sunset, you are going to take the mark of the beast by default. Remember what it says. Perpetual covenant. I will put my laws into their hearts. I will write it on their minds. My beloved, you cannot be deceived. I hope this video made sense to you guys. I hope it clarified and painted a clear picture of what the mark of the beast is and what it has to do with. Because God's Sabbath, if you aren't keeping the Sabbath, my beloved, you're going to accept the mark of the beast because you are worshiping the beast in his image. I love you guys. God bless, and I will see you guys next time.